Welcome to the Maritime Executive Magazine podcast, In the Know. I'm Paul Benecki, and today I'm joined by Danny James and John Rapacki of Compass Logistics and Marine, who would like to share their insights on modern logistics and what it takes to succeed in today's market. Danny and John, would you like to introduce yourselves and how your backgrounds prepare you for your current roles?
Thank you, Paul. Absolutely. Danny James, founder and CEO of Compass Logistics and Marine, born right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Shortly after high school, attending high school down here in Fort Lauderdale, I went and attended the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, where I met John. While at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, I worked on vessels. I studied ships, the maritime industry, as well as majored in logistics. While I was at the Merchant Marine Academy, I was given the opportunity to work on 7 different vessels during my sea year. And after graduation, I was commissioned as second lieutenant in the U.S. Marine Corps. Subsequently, I served on active duty for 8 years. During those 8 years, 3 of those years were deployments in and out of Iraq, which was the 2005 to 2007 timeframe. After getting off active duty, I transitioned to the reserves, where I served for another 12 years and actually recently retired from the reserves this past summer with 20 years of service. While I was serving in the reserves, I managed to start my career in logistics. I also completed my MBA at Nova Southeastern University, and I was also founded Compass Logistics and Marine in 2017. Additionally, on the personal side, I married my wife, Justine, of 13 years, and we have 3 adorable children: Preston, who's 7, Piper, who's 5, and Paxton, who is 3. So how has all of these experiences affected logistics? I think John and I have a lot of overlap on the Maritime Merchant Marine Academy side, although his path took a different route post-graduation. I think I'll touch a little bit more specifically on my Marine Corps experiences, but being a Marine has been one of the greatest honors of my life, to serve our country. And it has also shaped me into the person, the leader, as well as the business owner I am today. These were very formidable years, and it has made me into the person that I am today. And I think more specifically as it relates to logistics, when you look at the environment that we've been in the past few years, it has been very turbulent. There's been a lot of changes. It's been fast-paced, and I would argue that a lot of the experiences I got in the Marine Corps, the environments I had to operate in, the constraints that I had to operate with, gave us great experience and gave our leadership, because we have a number of other veterans that also serve on our team, to adapt to those changes quickly, move quickly, make decisions, and subsequently figure out a solution that is the best case scenario given the current environment. So I believe those experiences has certainly helped us here at Compass.
I'm John Rapacki, Chief Commercial Officer here at Compass Logistics and Marine. As Danny mentioned, we're classmates from the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy not too many years ago. Throw that out there, even though we've got a lot more gray hair this year than we did a few years ago. I went to sea after graduating. So I sailed on military cargo ships for the first 2 years out of school. And then I came ashore and did the MBA thing at Fordham University in New York City. And then I relocated to Houston, Texas, where I worked for some of the biggest names in marine heavy transport, working with semi-submersible ships and module carriers, which was really an amazing experience to get involved in such large operations and projects early on in my career. And I worked in that realm in a commercial aspect. I had an opportunity to switch over to operations when I worked for the Bechtel Corporation as a logistics manager on one of their large petrochemical projects, managing inland freight by barge, tug barge, trucking, and I had an opportunity to participate in a really, really large project and see how an organization of that size is able to organize processes and systems around making something like that successful. Prior to joining Compass, I had a short stint at Swire Projects, where I got back into the commercial realm with break bulk and project cargo again. And then Danny and I reconnected a few years ago. And then a year ago, it made sense for this dynamic duo to get back together and take on the world.
Can you tell us about why you started CLM and how the business has evolved?
So Compass Logistics and Marine, I would have to go take it back to really the Merchant Marine Academy days and my love of logistics and the maritime industry and ships. Um, I would take that a step further into the Marine Corps, because in the Marine Corps, we were moving tanks, Marines, beam bullets, band-aids, bad guys around battlefields. And whatever mission or project we were supporting, there was a component of logistics that had to do with that. So once I got off of active duty, I was fortunate to have the opportunity to work with a small but growing freight forwarder. And while I was working for that company, I was able to obtain my customs brokerage license. Not an easy test, not an easy license to obtain, but it was very valuable to gain that knowledge, that experience, and that certification, that license. I was also able to gain a lot of hands-on experience, which has served me well throughout my, I would say, commercial professional career post-military. That said, despite the successes, despite the things we were able to accomplish, I felt like something was missing. And I have a high degree, as do many military members, in service and purpose and fulfillment. And I just felt like there was something more. So in 2017, I left that company and I started Compass Logistics and Marine. And I will say I haven't looked back since. The impact, and I don't want to sound corny, but the impact that I have the ability and the honor to make on individuals and on people through leadership and through bringing in the right people and elevating them is just awesome. It's unbelievably fulfilling for me. I wake up excited, I wake up motivated, and I try to make an impact. And yeah, of course, you get to make the impact on your clients, and I love that. But the team here and the people here are really what get me up and get me motivated to really show up and show up with my best each day. In regards to how has it evolved, I mean, we call it hawse piping in the Merchant Marines. We call it bootstrapping, but essentially I did the entrepreneur, startup, sold my condo, used the money, didn't take a salary, started at the kitchen counter. I want to say we had 2 or 3 garages before we actually got into an office building with windows. 1 or 2 of those garages didn't have great AC, but essentially we evolved into, now we're in this great office building with windows in between downtown Fort Lauderdale and Port Everglades. And it has evolved very nicely. And while I've mentioned some of the office, I think a large part of that is the team of also that we've been able to build that I'm extremely proud of and proud to be able to serve as their CEO.
Well, that's a great success story. It sounds like you guys have come a really long way with pretty much your own resources. That's fantastic. You mentioned unprecedented times. These certainly are. COVID-19 was a big part of that. I know that was tough on all logistics businesses. What did your firm do to face the challenge and come out stronger?
Paulie, it's crazy that here it is. It's almost 3+ years ago now. But what COVID did to small businesses was nothing short of devastating. People were scared. Small businesses were legitimately hurt. Some of them going out of business. People didn't know what to do. The world went turned upside down, and the global supply chain was no different. It was unprecedented. What happened? The amount of chaos, people not knowing what to do and how to navigate it was extremely, extremely difficult. And it tested me. It tested our leadership team, and it tested my team. We were only just about 2 years old. But what we did was we went home first and we worked remotely, but we ended up leaning in to figuring out what we needed to do to not just survive the pandemic, but find a way to thrive. And our skill set was critical to a lot of these small businesses. So we leaned into each other. we leaned into our clients, we leaned into the projects and the clever ways in which we were trying to adapt to the constantly fast changing environment. And we found a way to thrive. And our organization did thrive the past few years through this crazy environment. And we also, and one of the things I'm most proud about, was we were able to actually help our clients survive, and not just survive, but thrive. And that came in the form of coming up, adapting, changing quickly, evolving. And we were able to do it with the people that we had and the size that we are. We were able to do it faster and better than some of the larger companies. And because of that, we ended up getting a ton of press. We got tons of word of mouth referrals because our clients wanted to talk about us to their friends and refer us. And it ended up being a great growth stage for us, despite the fact that it was a very difficult time for so many.
It sounds like you made a lot out of it, and that's great to hear. So you've come a long way. Can you tell us a little bit about where your company is today, your team size, your customer base, your main market segments?
Yeah, sure. So right now we've got a team of 15 here in Fort Lauderdale. And we've been really privileged in the fact that we've actually grown our team this year. When a lot of companies, as Danny mentioned, are actually downsizing in a lot of cases. And I have to really give credit to our colleagues. I mean, our operational team is fantastic. I mean, they have a profound attentiveness to the customer needs. They really are detailed in their work. They have a desire really to serve and make the customers happy and solve problems. And they just really care about being impactful for what they do every day for themselves, for the team, and for the people we serve. And then I have to add to that is just the customer base. I mean, we have a fantastic collection of customers that put a lot of trust in our small organization. And you know, we have some customers, everything from small little air shipments all the way up to managing their supply chains for them on a weekly or monthly basis, or time critical things that need to be delivered within set windows for various reasons. So I really have to say it's been a really great year in that regard in terms of where we gotten to today. Specific to our markets, we do really well in the marine and yacht space. Why is that? Well, Danny's from Fort Lauderdale. We are in the yacht capital of the world, right? And when he started the business, that was one area where, from being a South Florida boy who knew the area, was willing to work hard, knock on doors, and get to know people, that really cracked the door open. And then you tie in what we talked about with our introductions, just our maritime experience. We both come from those circles. So we do well in that space because we've been in it and we understand it exceptionally well. And that's worked as a really good springboard that Danny has used to really expand that customer base in the markets we serve. So we also work in what we call the general cargo space. So think mostly containerized type cargoes, general retail items, things you might buy at the store. We have some customers in that space. We also work in the industrial area. So when we talk about industry, we have customers that are in industrial manufacturing, and we supply them and move their materials for either their equipment, for actually making things. Sometimes we might even move raw materials in certain cases. That varies. So we have that industrial sector that we have a good presence in. Technology is another place that's really, really interesting for us. It's super high value stuff, usually time critical. In that area, think about, how do I want to put this? We talk about the internet as this thing that's just out there in the ether, but the reality is, on the ground, there are data centers, there are computer systems, there are networks that are integrated with physical equipment. And we're privileged to work in that space where we actually move some of that physical equipment and deliver it and support customers that are building facilities. Danny, coming from the Marine Corps, I was in the Navy Reserve. We both went to Kings Point. It'd be really silly for us not to target the government sector, right? We've both been there. We've both done that. We have a really good understanding of how that works. So we work in that space as well. And for example, we just recently completed an operation for the U.S. Marine Corps out in the Pacific. Can't get into the details, but you know what? It was a great job for our team. And I think it really highlighted the people on the ops team and what they do. And then for an organization like ours from Fort Lauderdale, how is it that we've been so successful globally? It's because we also work with other freight forwarding companies like ourselves around the world. We're part of several industry type networks that have allowed us to connect with companies like ours in around the world, and that has really facilitated the company's ability to build international supply chains from our office here in Fort Lauderdale. And it's been really impressive to see how the team takes advantage of those relationships to kind of build those solutions for people across all those market verticals that I just shared with you.
Great.
I
That's
don't have
really
anything to add to
positive.
that. Nailed it, John.
Thanks.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a very diversified customer base, and I'm sure that's really helpful. Can you tell us a little bit about your most interesting projects and cargoes? You mentioned one out in the Pacific, and obviously I'm sure there are some that you can't delve too much into. But are there some particularly big or cool or interesting projects you could share with our readers?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to three, because I could talk all day about the things that the team gets involved in on a daily basis, because it's super interesting to see what comes across our organization on a daily basis. The first one is a bit before my time here at Compass, but I think it's fantastic for anybody who wants to get a feel for the culture we have here and the people on our team. A few years ago, Danny and the organization moved a 1,500-ton travel lift. They imported it and delivered it to Director Fort Pierce for one of their capital investments. And the project was highlighted in a series called Salty Jobs. And I recommend anybody who's listening to us check that out. It's the Marine Industries Association of South Florida put together this series called Salty Jobs to promote the marine industry. And they promoted Danny and Compass Logistics. And to see these massive wheels, these huge pieces of pre-constructed, components to this giant piece of machinery, and it was all managed by Danny. And at the time, probably a team of you had no more of what, 5 people? You had 5 people, and to see the result of that is impressive. And to drive by the yard and see the equipment and be able to say, hey, our team did that is quite impressive. The other area I really want to highlight that I'd love to see the team executing on is time critical work. I was joking with the team that when we have time critical activities going on and we have really tight timelines, it's almost like it's like a stock trading floor down there. I literally, like, we have one of our young colleagues. Sometimes the guy literally has teams on and 2 phones functioning at the same time, coordinating air, trucking, warehousing, and all these details to get things delivered when they're needed because it's time critical. So that's impressive to see on a daily basis. And then, not necessarily that these are projects, but I think they highlight just the enthusiasm kind of we have for the work, and that I have to go to the yacht space. We just recently had the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show here in town, which is the biggest yacht event in the world. And so to bring some of these yachts in and out, because they're of international status, our company sets up foreign trade zones for a lot of these yachts, and there's certain requirements and stipulations for that. But to go to this event and to see a sign on a $100 million yacht that says, foreign trade zone, certain requirements for boarding, and then to see our logo on it is quite impressive. And to add on to that, not only is it that customs work for those yachts, but we also handle a lot of materials for these vessels, because when they come here, they might be going to a yard either before or after the show for service, and then we're importing products and materials for the repairs. Just this morning, our colleague Michelle downstairs received a phone call in regards to a yacht owned by a very famous person involving artwork and how that artwork gets handled for importation or export. And these are the kind of really, really interesting things that come across the desk, and I think highlight how unique our business is in the space. And it all started with marine and yacht.
Well, great.
And I'll add this last thing.
Oh yeah,
like I said, the stories can go on and on. Anybody listening, if you want to learn more, just give us a call. We've got plenty of stories to share. Whatever you got in your minds.
Okay.
The only thing I'd add to it is we get a chance to move a lot of cool stuff. But if I was to say one of the coolest projects that we got to participate, not that all of those weren't recognized and awesome to participate in, was we got to move some T-72 tanks. And for me as a Marine Corps tanker, that was a highlight, moving them into Houston. And of course they had to arrive right when the big freeze hit. So challenges everywhere and some pretty cool cargo, but we come across a lot of cool opportunities, and typically the more challenging, the more complex, and the more challenges, the better we do.
Yeah. I think Danny just hit on the key factor. It's that, you know, it almost looks easy. Like if you watch Salty Jobs, they make it look easy, but the amount of planning and attention to detail that goes into a lot of this stuff is like I said earlier about our team. It's that attentiveness to those details. And that's the reason why I think we're so fortunate to have a group of customers that keep coming back to us.
Great. Yeah, it sounds like it requires a lot of adaptability and attention to detail and precision to get it done and get it done on time. So I know you guys are also a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. And again, thank you for your service. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means for the customer and for yourselves?
Absolutely. So, Paul, what that is, SDVOSB, Service Disabled Veteran Owned Small Business, is a qualification that our company has based on my service, as well as we have a number of veterans, both Marine Corps as well as Navy, including some that are still in the reserves even to this day. And because of that, we are recognized as a SDVOSB. And more than anything, what it gives us is it gives us the ability to continue to participate and the opportunity to continue to serve. But in doing so, we're serving in a logistic capacity in all environments. So tying our experience, tying our service, tying that qualification, it's a great opportunity for us to continue to serve our government, the military, the various agencies and stakeholders. And we take a lot of pride in it. We're very proud of our service and the veterans that do serve with us as we approach Veterans Day here.
So you've done a lot to come to where you are now. What is CLM doing today to prepare for its next stage of growth?
Well, 2023 has been a really big year for the organization in terms of what we've done in-house to really reshape and I think professionalize how we operate and prepare for growth. And that really comes down to just, we focused on people, systems, and processes. And we were very deliberate throughout the year of taking steps to improve in those areas in preparation for 2024. And I would almost say 2024 for us is going to be a breakout year in a lot of ways. And we put a lot of thought, energy, time, and resources as well into shaping these things, really for the purpose of just improving the customer experience, being able to better serve our customers, and really become the preferred choice within our field for those who haven't had the chance to work with a company like ours, and provide more options and opportunity to make improvements and help those businesses that need our type of logistical support to get it as they need it. I'm gonna I think we'll cover this. I think it's a good area to cover in terms of just the people, systems, and the processes. And I think the people end, Danny, you could tell when Danny talks about the leadership and the people, that is really, in addition to his expertise as an operator, I have to say, getting people motivated and aligned to accomplish big things is one of Danny's gifts. And why don't you start with your view on the people element?
Thanks, John. People is our secret weapon. Don't tell anyone. But yes, there's a lot that we've done with our processes. There's a ton we've done with our systems and embracing technology. And we're going to share more about some of those things. But when I look at what is our differentiator, it's our people. And it's not by accident. It's been a very methodical, deliberate approach to who we try to bring into this organization. You need to have the right people in the right spot. You need to have the right people whose values align, who can fit within our culture. And then once you tie all that together, you essentially are starting to drive to a high performance team. And we've been very focused on that. We've been very focused on the type of people that we recruit. And we've been very deliberate on elevating the organization and those stakeholders, including our clients, with the people that we bring in. We've had excellent success in building a great team. I think most recently, you can see our success. I mean, to have John join our team a year ago, we just hired a branch manager, William Tamayo, who's phenomenal. We have a senior accountant, Bree Ruiz, who just joined us. And even as these large companies are laying off left and right, many of them made poor management decisions or got a little ahead of their skis, so to say, and they're doing massive layoffs. We continue to lean into our people and utilize that as a key differentiator. We feel it. I know I feel it. I know our team feels it. Our clients get a chance to see it, and it certainly shows in our results.
And I'll add, I mean, when I first walked into Danny's office a little over 2 years ago, you just felt it when you walked in the door. I mean, we've got a pretty broad range of experiences, but we also have a lot of young people who are really, really motivated. And now that I've got a year under my belt here working with Danny and the team, the thing that is just so impressive is the balance of authority and responsibility that he gives to these people to make decisions and to take action. I'd say, I think the word is empowerment. I mean, we have young people that know their limits. They understand that, but they understand that they have a certain degree of authority to make decisions. And in our business, that is so important because a lot of what we do is time critical. A lot of what we do can't wait. A decision has to be made. And if decisions aren't made, we lose control of the situation because something else makes that decision for us, whether it's time, it's the environment, it's the economy, it's our competitors. And I think that's just something that for me is an absolute standout in terms of what has made this organization so successful in the past. And I think we'll continue to drive that, especially in the people space.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. John, we've talked about the people, and that certainly is our center of gravity. I want you to touch on, because you've been helping us with a lot of our system upgrades and process work. We've always recognized the importance of IT and systems, but do you mind just briefly talking about some of the stuff we've done on the system side?
Sure. I think for both of us, right, we've had experiences working with really the biggest organization on the planet, right? I mean, the U.S. government, right? Whether it was the Marine Corps or working through Military SEAL Command and seeing how big organizations are able to align resources to accomplish tasks. So we have a really good understanding, I think, of the importance that plays in the execution of business activities. And so for us, we know that as we grow, systems and processes are going to be critical and important for scaling. But we also realize that as a smaller business, we also have the advantage of being able to pivot, shift. I mentioned earlier, take action because we empower people, but also adapt to either the market or our customers. So it's a really interesting balance we have here in terms of where we are with time. But the systems and the processes are complement to the people. I think a lot of what we've seen in the logistics industry over the last couple of years is that systems processes are going to be the solution to everything. But they kind of tend not to be. That people element has gotten forgotten. So I think we are developing the right balance of the right people with the right systems processes as tools to empower them to be successful. So on the systems front, this year we put a lot of resource into our freight forwarding customs management system. We're going digital. And this has allowed us to collect a lot of data from just our own operations and has given us insights into our business every day, every month, every quarter, but also into our customers and how their patterns are changing. And we're also sharing that data with them as well. And we're also creating opportunities to collect more data from them to help make some better decisions and help improve how we work together. So in that element, I'd say capture data was a big thing for us this year. And as we go digital with these new tools, it's really allowing us to scale and up our game when it comes to the complexity of supply chains, warehousing, and even project management capabilities to do more complex things at a larger scale. For example, we did a solar project a little over a year ago, very well executed. But now I think about how that could be executed now with the systems we have in place would be completely different for the better for both us and for our customer as well. And these systems allow us to move faster and I think be more accurate and also communicate better with our clients as well as our subcontractors. So that kind of systems approach from digital has been a big move for us this year. And it wasn't easy rolling out in January, right? Because it was a big change. But here we are now in the fourth quarter, and probably, you know what? While we have a few holdouts, paper and folders is probably going to slowly disappear from what you see in our office. And that's the direction that we're going in. Do you want to add anything on the systems end?
No, just, it's just given us such an advantage. You have to, in this day and age, embrace the latest and greatest that's coming out with modern technology, whether it's AI, whether it's upgraded systems. I mean, we did a lot with our old freight forwarding software, bubblegum, and a lot of duct tape. But a great team needs a great system. And when you put that together and you compile that data and you use that data to not just give you lagging indicators, but leading indicators, you can move faster and you can do it with more you can do it with more commitment and confidence in that data. And then the same goes with the information and readily real-time information and data and information that our clients are getting. They can make decisions faster. They can feel more comfortable in what they're doing. And, it doesn't, I've seen some large companies double down into just systems and technology, but they forget the people part. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have people that are utilizing those systems, that are utilizing that technology, and you can't forget that. And we don't want to lose the fact that we also try to customize to what our customer needs or what the project needs. We don't try to make them fit into our box or that. And I think that's a good segue into some of the process work that we've been doing as well.
So obviously in a lot of the work that's done by the operations team, there are a lot of repetitive practices. And as the team grows, we kind of, there becomes the Compass way of doing things. And one of the things that has become a team activity this year was really outlining those workflows and how they are managed, so that while we might have someone who specializes in one sector of the profession, if that person is out one day, it's okay, because 90% of that work can be picked up because we have processes that can be followed. And I think this is also important too for our customer base as we grow, for people to see that we're very organized and we're very structured in how we do things, and we have a high degree of consistency in what we do. But also, if we need to change those workflows specifically for a client, we're more than happy to do it because we have people who are very adaptable. And these are all standards that over time just become a continuous improvement exercise. So again, that's been something that has been completely team-wide, and every single person in this office has participated in that. Everything from how we answer the phone all the way up to our accounting processes and the things that we do to monitor our business activities, to project management, et cetera. And really, this all kind of wraps up into what will ultimately become our management system for our organization. And I think we've got a good group of people now on the team that cover a lot of the places where, to be honest, Danny and I are not good. And they fill those gaps for us. And they bring a new level of professionalism in those areas where we know we fall short. And I think through the experience and best practices and constant improvement, like, we are on a great path to set up for 2024, as I said, as being an absolute breakout year for us, for our team, for our customers. And ultimately, I think we participate in the economy and how we work. And I think to be enthusiastic about how you do that is important, right? Because it fulfills I think a need for many of us as to why we go to work, right? It's something that makes us satisfied and happy to get up in the morning and participate and be with really good people.
That's great. It sounds like you've made a lot of fantastic changes and you're ready to go forward with some extra energy and some extra organization. Do you think you could tell us a little bit about your plans going forward? You mentioned 2024 is going to be a big breakout year for you. What are you looking for the next year, the next 2, the next 5?
Well, I'd be happy to answer that for you. I mean, John was on a roll. I didn't want to stop him. But when you talk about what 2023 and its significance for us, and you talk about the people and the people plan and the quality and the just the success that we've had there, but then you tie it together with the process and the systems, and you can see how impactful that can be for an organization. But what does that mean moving forward into 2024? That means that through that upgrade, through that elevation of the organization, we are prepared to do more, do harder, do better. So for us, what does that mean? What does that mean for a chief commercial officer? That means we got to get out there. We got to figure out through our sales strategy and our verticals, what are going to be those ideal clients that need our services? What are going to be those projects that fit hand in hand with some of the things we've been talking about, where we can bring to bear, bring to market, and provide a competitive advantage and provide ultimate value to the stakeholders, our clients, the project, the people on this sending as well as the receiving end. So I think when you talk about what's going to happen in 2024, I think you're going to see the results of a lot of hard work and a great team produce some positive results as it relates to growth, as well as a lot of great projects and logistics operations throughout the world.
Great. Well, thanks to both of you for your time. This is an impressive story of growth, and it sounds like you have a great future ahead of you. I'm looking forward to hearing more as the story unfolds. It's fantastic. Do you have any closing thoughts for our readers?
Paul, no closing thoughts. Just if for any reason this resonates, we do have our website. I think it's behind us. We have a social media presence on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. While that was a little bit post my generation, we have embraced it and stayed current with the times. So please reach out if there's anything that you have questions on, want more information on, or if you're interested in us having the opportunity to serve and support.
Great. Well, fantastic. Good talking to both of you, and I look forward to hearing more later on. Really appreciate your time, and take care.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.